Hey everyone, it's JPC again, and this is episode number 6 of Back in My Day. In this podcast, I attempt to answer questions I get during stream and in Discord from time to time, but with a little more structure, thought, and intent. I also get to take some reps at storytelling, which has been a to do for mine for some time. If you're enjoying the content, please like, subscribe, comment. It helps out a lot and gives me a nice little virtual pat on the back. Also, if you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them below. I love to hear from you, and thanks for watching. All right, let's get into that intro. This episode, I wanted to talk about pushing yourself toward improvement. I wanted to do the episode because I get some questions about how I've improved quickly. Um, I think everyone can do this, and obviously, people all improve at different speeds. Um, but there have been conversations around doing enough when it comes to improvement. So I thought that I would bring it up, and that would be topical here. I often talk to my kids about having like the fire. Um, you want to be the best that you can be, and you should always be pushing toward that. So this discussion is a little bit about having the fire, as it were. Caveats, obviously, always bring in the caveats. To be honest, this feels a little bit like a throwaway episode. Like Naruto's eating ramen through this whole session, basically. But I wanted to do this because I find pushing myself to actually be fun and challenging. Um, at the same time, really, it what makes me want to practice and enjoy practice. Um, so my caveats are kind of simply that maybe you feel like you're pushing yourself but aren't sure. Maybe you know you aren't pushing yourself and for a good reason. I cannot emphasize how important it is to enjoy doing the mundane things when you're trying to improve. But it's not for everyone. So the examples that I kind of talk about here and what I'm going to go into it are very specific to enjoying practice. Um, uh, if you are not able to do that, you do have to find that for yourself. So hopefully, maybe giving some tips or pointers will help you find a way to enjoy it, and that's my goal for those who don't or can't. The first thing I want to go over is setting goals and how kind of important it is to level set with yourself and finding. And I've talked about this in previous episodes, but finding that thing that'll help you check the box of a small accomplishment. For example, when I was in high school, I ran cross country and I ran track, and you're always playing against yourself, right? You're always running against yourself. Yes, there's other people on the field, but it's a timed event, and if you're the best runner, then you're not really running against everybody else. You're still just running against yourself. If you're the 10th best runner, you can't become the 8th best runner if you don't find a way to improve your time. So it is all about a uh, running against yourself. And I feel like improvement is a lot like that kind of mindset. And so what I've done, again, what I enjoy doing is setting up targets. So I wanted to walk through DM targets and how I challenge, challenge myself in DM. So on the tracker, I don't think it looks this way on mobile, but on the web browser, whatever. When you're on the web, when you go to your DM stats, there's a couple things here. There's the ACS of your DM, so it kind of gives you a how many points you get from your damage and kills and assists and whatnot. And then there's a kills per round. And I actually use those two numbers um, to determine how I'm playing. And I don't need to hit, for example, right now, kills per round right now is 28.1 as of this episode. So that means that I have to get 29 kills to feel like that I've push myself. And I don't always do it. Obviously, there are going to be DMs where I'm practicing my sheriff, or DMs where I'm practicing my um, guardian. Those DMs aren't going to happen. There are DMs where I go in with my Vandal and I just can't figure out where people are, or I'm not paying attention to the mini map as much. So I'm not always going to hit that 29 number. But when I go back and I look at my history for the day or for my session, my goal is to have more often than not above that number. And I check it each time I go in, because again, if I go in with it's 27.8 because I did a whole session of sheriff only DMs. Then my goal is just to hit 28. So before I go DM each day, I will look at what my current number is, and my goal um, is to be positive from that. And the ACS is the same thing. It kind of correlates to the kills per round, but I'll also look at my ACS. There are times where I don't hit the 28 or 29 or whatever my target is, but my ACS may actually be very good. Earlier, I think it was 2 days ago, I only had a 27 kill round, but my ACS was above. It was 8690 versus the 8688 that was so I actually did a lot of damage, even though I did a little bit less. I had a little fewer kills than my target. Um, so just kind of putting that into perspective in terms of setting up targets, even going into DMs, not winning it, right? I'm not looking to win, but I am looking to win more duels or win more fights, and that's how I kind of do that with DM. Um, with practices, the in the range, there's this kind of constant feedback loop that I'm trying to get when I'm setting my goals. So the reason that originally, when I was given kind of some of my practice routines, they were always eliminate 100, right? Go in the middle of the range, constantly be moving, and do the eliminate 100. The problem is eliminate 100 can take what 2 minutes at times, longer than 2 minutes, sometimes 3 minutes, depending on how slowly you do the eliminate 100. Um, so I started doing just the eliminate 50 because if my goal is to hit 100 and eliminate 100, that's twice as long as if I tried to hit 50 within eliminate 50. Right? Those numbers obviously make sense. It's very clear, but I'm looking to get the feedback more quickly. So I knew I was never going to hit 100 if I couldn't hit 50. So instead of pushing through a minute and a half plus 2 minutes worth of one drill, I could do it in half the time and figure out what I needed to improve on or work around. The same thing kind of goes for Swift Play. One of the reasons Swift Play has been so beneficial to me versus unrated is it's a 15-minute game, 20-minute sorry 10 to 15-minute game versus a 30 to 45-minute game versus an unrated. So finding little ways to do that. The difference for me, and I want to add this to this, is the eliminate 50 versus the eliminate 100. The benefit of the eliminate 100 is um, you can make up for misclicks in the first 50 seconds of your eliminate 100. So you can go on runs, and that's one of my favorite parts about moving to the eliminate 100 is I can start off kind of with on the struggle bus a little bit, and then make that up by fixing whatever is causing my issue. My hand is too tense, or my arm is too tense. I'm not being patient enough. Fixing that, and then turning around and having the second half of my eliminate 100 be actually faster. This is also a running mentality. Negative splits. So I will go back and look at my practices and see if my first half of a eliminate 50 was slower than my second half. Did I figure out what was causing the problem, and was I able to adjust? Again, a little bit silly, but I enjoy that kind of thing. I enjoy seeing um, that type of feedback loop kind of get um, scratch an itch, right, when it comes to it. So um, yeah, I think setting goals is extremely important, and if you can find a way to set goals in a way that gets you feedback more quickly, you will enjoy the process of improving on those goals, and hitting the marks, right? So the from that though, I want to talk about kind of motivation. And again, my world is a little bit different in terms of motivation. I enjoy practice. I enjoy um, testing myself in ways that are not directly correlative to the game. So if I go and play Valorant, a comp game, obviously that's very different from shooting bots. But if there is a way to shoot bots better that can help me in the comp game, then I will find a way to maximize that, and pseudo min maxing. Right? It's not really min maxing, but so what motivates me and why? Um, it's checking the box of the drill. So I want to talk about how I started kind of doing some of these drills and what has happened um, recently. So literally as of this week, kind of what's been going on. DM wise, I was talking about DMs earlier. I won 3 DMs in a row and have won 5 of my last 20. Yeah, I've won 5 of my last 20 um, DMs, and that's important to bring up because I think the best that I had done in previous acts was a 4% win rate. Yeah, with a 4% win rate, but I'm currently at an 11% win rate. Obviously, I'll play some more, and that number will bounce around. But I'm improving to a point that I'm winning more DMs. I'm checking that box, and that feels really really good to win those DMs. I'll throw out the kind of asterisks around the DMs. Right, sometimes I kind of get shit on pretty hard, and then the next one there's only plats and lower, right? I have no diamonds or higher in it. So obviously those DMs are easier, but I wasn't winning those last act or the act before either at the frequency I'm currently winning. So there is, regardless of the um, the players in the lobby, there's been improvement in the consistency of my DM play, which has been fantastic. And again, that's a motivation for me is I want to get to that 10%. I want to try to get to 20%. Now that I've kind of hit the 10% mark over this window. I'd like to see how the act ends before I kind of set that number, but 10% has always been a number that Woohoojin gave me in order to gauge, right? You should be winning 10% of your DMs, which is now happening. So it's pretty fantastic. Let me talk about some of the other targets. So Woohoojin was giving me these drills to do, and I went back to the eliminate 50 and the eliminate 100. So with DMs and these targets, I was hitting a plateau. I could not break 50 seconds. I was hitting 52. I don't even think I hit 51 consistently when doing eliminate 50 for multiple weeks. And I couldn't figure out what was right. I was going as fast as I could. How come my speed was not good enough to hit these numbers? Um, I then hit 50 seconds 3 times in a row last week, and then hit 49 by the end of the week, which was pushing myself. And I'll kind of explain what happened here a little bit. Actually, I'll go over it in the next section. So, and I'll come back to it. Then I hit 47, and the moment I hit 47 seconds on eliminate 50, that propelled me to graduate to the eliminate 100. My PR, my best record for eliminate 100 was 104 before I switched to the eliminate 50 um, plan, right? Because I was telling you about the feedback loops, and I kept doing eliminate 100, but I would always end up between 112 and 104, right? Because 104 was my best, but always closer to the 112. And I switched to eliminate 50 to get the feedback loops and to figure out what was and wasn't working. The third attempt of doing eliminate 100 when I graduated myself to the eliminate 100, I hit 100 seconds. So I immediately, whatever was doing with eliminate 50, fixed my challenge with eliminate 100 that I was having back in the day, and immediately new PR. And subsequently, I have now hit 97 seconds. So I've gone under 100 seconds multiple times since graduating myself to eliminate 50. My current PR is 97, and right now I have set my practice target for eliminate 100 at 99 seconds. So lots of upgrades to my targets simply because of this pushing myself um, to to better myself. Right. Again, I'll go back to the drive or the fire, um, the uh, the grinding of practices, as it were. Um, New PRs in DMs, new PRs in Eliminate 50, then graduating to Eliminate 100, and new PRs in Eliminate 100. So the feedback loop drives the motivation for me. Checking that box, right? You get the hit of, I always say it wrong. It's dopamine. I think it's not serotonin. I think serotonin makes it. I always say the wrong one. So one of the two, whichever one's good. You guys know better than I do at this point. But that working towards something motivates me, and I enjoy checking that box off. Right? It's like completing a task, and I complete that task, and then I move on. Um, Type of thing. So it's fantastic, and I do have these "why am I doing this" moments. That kind of cause mental blocks. The I used to play Dota, and I enjoyed playing Dota, but then I realized what am I learning? Like what am I improving on? I just never felt like there was progress, and no matter what kind of drill or practice that I did, I just never felt like it correlated to the games, and it was very hard for me to be motivated to play Dota. Valorant's been a little bit different, and part of that is I'm more used to a first-person shooter style game than I am the isometric, top down. They're very different, and I could never figure that out. So I ended up stop playing Dota simply because I couldn't find these feedback loops to help myself feel like I could improve and see that application working. Um, with that. So now, after talking about motivation, there, I want to talk a little bit about like overcoming obstacles, which I alluded to earlier that I would kind of discuss. So I want to talk first about what I do to keep the drive going, and then I want to talk a little bit about solving the puzzle. So the main thing for to keep myself going is the feedback loop really helps. I can see where I came from. When I first started doing Eliminate 100 drill, I was hitting 135 at best. I was nowhere near 100 with an ultimate goal of hitting that 100 eventually. And like I said, the feedback loop was so slow, like it was a 2 minute drill. And I knew starting the drill, I'd miss one or two of the first five. Bots, and it's like, well, I don't want to finish this. I don't want to finish this drill, but that's been a rule that when you start a drill, you finish it, and you try to make up ground. And if you can adjust to your current inefficiency and make up ground, that's good. But a 2 minute drill, like, oh my, I'm doing this for 130 seconds. I'm doing this for 120 seconds. um, it was getting tedious to know I wasn't going to make it. And I look up at the bots that I have to go, and I still have 60 bots to go or something. So it it's one of the things where I switched to 50 to keep myself motivated, knowing that the feedback loop would come. But I'm getting off topic. The obstacle of being motivated is satiated by remembering where I was, like remembering that I used to hit 130 um, when I did the medium bots overflick. That I originally was hitting 12 to 15, and I was never getting close to 20. Now I always break 20, and quite often am above 25 um, on my first attempt. Right, my current target for practice is to hit 26. If I hit 26 or higher, then I can move to the next drill. I rarely do the overflick drill 3 times during practices, so I can remember where I was, and that's motivation enough to keep pushing. Then the incremental improvement is enough to know to keep going. the challenge that I have with the incremental improvement is the periods of plateauing. That gets very, very frustrating. Again, like I was doing eliminate 50 and I was stuck at 52, I think it was, for a couple of weeks, and I couldn't figure it out. Um, what was causing me to not take that next step or keep pushing? But that was part of the fun. So that's part of the obstacle clearing, is solving the puzzle. So so there's this thing, I don't remember who I talked to this to about this a long time ago, but so running backs in the NFL at times they'll come back and say he put on 10 pounds this off season. Um, and I was having a conversation with a fellow football fan about why a running back who wants to be fast will put on weight or put on muscle. And obviously, for some of the situations, it's because they want to be able to take more contact or to be able to run through contact more often. But we tangentially got onto a question of how do you run faster? So there's a lot of answers to that, but we kind of boiled it down to two things, right? So you either get stronger so you can push your own body weight faster, or you reduce your weight so your current strength can push a lower weight faster. So taking this kind of idea, and again, that's super contextual and theoretical. There's a lot more to it than that, obviously, but we got into this. We tried to minimalize the conversation so we weren't going into kinesiology and all these other things. So um, so you either get stronger so you can push your current weight faster, or you lose weight so your current strength can do more work, right? So you have the two things. So when I was doing these drills and I was plateauing, I kind of remembered that conversation I had back in the day, and I made this joke a couple of times in chat and in Discord, but I needed to figure out how to be more patient, but be more patient more quickly. And it seems oxymoronish, but it is what I figured out was wrong. I was only trying to go quickly and acquire targets more quickly, but I wasn't taking a half a second to put the crosshair on the head of the bot. So I actually found out that if I acquire my target more quickly and then pause before shooting to make sure that the crosshair was on the bot's head, I immediately started to see this, the dragon, right? And go back to the dragon, but this upward movement of improvement in my scores, and it actually has helped with my comp games. I've been able to correlate that into my comp games. I actually had this really interesting 3K the other night. It was a fracture game where it was a 1v4, and three guys kind of popped out of angles, one from my left, then the next from my right, and then one from my left again, or the other way around, one of the two. And just like with how the bots will kind of appear in the eliminate 100 drill, eliminate 50 drill, I I strafe shot, strafe shot, strafe shot, and I took my time to put the crosshair on their head. And I got a 3 count. I ended up dying to Arena because all Arenas suck. So she ended up blinding me and then running at me, but bots don't do that. So but had I not been figuring out this problem with my speed, with figuring out how to acquire targets quickly and then taking a half second to put the crosshair on the head, I wouldn't have been able to do that 3K. So I am correlating it back to comp and figuring out ways to put it into the game, and that was purely from drilling, reviewing my drills, and analyzing why I'm not making improvement. And if I didn't have, and go back to the original, if I didn't have the fire, if I didn't have this desire to figure out why I'm not hitting 100 seconds on Eliminate 100 or hitting 50 seconds on Eliminate 50, I never would have figured those things out. So uh, I know that there are times where you can't figure it out. Decision making, for example, I talked about Dunning Kruger in a previous I think it was last week's podcast. There are things that you just can't figure out. There are things you just can't understand. Um, you don't know what you don't know. Um, so there are times where you're going to need somebody else to look at it and ask for that help. But sometimes all you need to do is take a moment and really dig into what's happening and ask yourself, what am I missing? You can ask the wrong questions, but if you don't take a moment to figure out why that question is wrong, then I don't think it'll ever improve. And I don't think you can ask the right questions if you're not looking to try to find any question to ask and try to gain some improvement on. That's kind of my parting thought. You got to have the fire. You got to enjoy practice, and you got to enjoy finding ways to improve yourself through mundane means to keep growing. Um, yeah, that's all. I'm finishing up there. So quick little super recap. Um, Pushing yourself. It all starts with setting goals and finding ways to create feedback loops um, within your goal setting and your practices. Um, Gaining the motivation to find the fire or want the fire. Um, for me, it's solving the puzzle around the obstacles. It's solving the puzzle um, around what's the next thing that I can do that motivates me, that makes me hungry to improve. Um, and just remember where you started. Um, that for me is enough motivation to keep asking why I can't get to the next step because I know that there's improvement. Yeah, eventually there's going to be a moment. I'm not going to get 30 seconds on Eliminate 100. Like that's just impossible. But if I've seen somebody do 90, if I've seen somebody do 85 seconds on Eliminate 100, why can't I get there? And until I solve that question, I will keep trying to get there. All right, that's everything. I thank everybody for hanging out. Next week, I am going to drop a podcast about overcoming burnout, something that I've kind of struggled with the last couple of months and am figuring out slowly. So I want to talk about my burnout, um, the I guess soothing methods, and hopefully that's helpful and enjoyable to anyone who's on the grind. So thank you for hanging out and good luck in your games. I'll see you guys next week.